Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And welcome everyone to Talking Fishing. I hope everyone who has been lucky enough to have a break over the holiday period had a great time, and from the picks of the week this week, there are certainly some great fish around. Last week, fishing lost a legend in the industry, John Dunphy. More about John very shortly. Plenty of rain around, and like I said, plenty of fish. Tonight we talk about Toolondo, we talk about Blue Rock, and Adam Ring's wife, Danny. How is Danny, Adam?
Yeah, she's good, mate. She'll be watching here from her hospital bed. So, babe, if you could hold on for another hour and a half, that'd be fantastic.
Little bubs on the way tomorrow by caesarean. I hope we're not, getting everyone in the medical terms there and putting off their dinner or anything. But you have got a new arrival to the family tomorrow morning, I believe.
Yeah, we're all booked in for tomorrow morning. So
you got to look forward to that and appreciate that you're here tonight.
Yeah,
and that's all good. As always, Trelly, good evening, and how's the holiday period been up in Shepparton?
Oh, it's been really good. Everyone's been out. Got a lot of good reports come back in.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm just working like 10 men, of course, but that's okay.
Of course you are. Yeah.
So just like normal, Trelly?
Like normal.
Yeah.
No,
Lucky you
really
got about 60 staff on. You're about a sixth of the pace of everyone else. Boys, the holiday period, what a way. A lot of people would have packed up on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, the forecast for some heavy rain. I only got back into Victoria on Friday evening, but a lot of rain. I mean, today, 48 millimetres by 11 o'clock in the morning at Toolondo, which is great news, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great news for down there.
Yeah.
And I know it's probably crazy to say, but bring on another 48 over there, I think.
Oh, I know. And I'm sure all the people camping down on the Mornington Peninsula and the Bellarine Peninsula and places like that, Eildon, would love to not have wet tents right now and everything.
Yeah.
But it's good. We needed it. Bring on some good weather and let's get out fishing.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely need it. It does great things for fishing, which we've seen in the past. But I know it's miserable to put up with in the meantime. But hey, there can only mean good things on the way.
Yeah, good things for fishing. Not about the farmers, it grows all the prickles this time of year, but for us fishing guys, it's really good.
Well, it does some funny things, because I arrived in Narooma on the New South Wales South Coast on Boxing Day, and the day after we sat out in the channel. I don't know if people know Narooma, but there's a channel that runs around the caravan park right out the front, down on the flat. Sat there, my favourite whiting spot, had plenty of good burley going out, a couple of bass yabbies and some beautiful worms that I'd pumped that day, and it was like fishing in the Yarra River. It was brown.
Flat.
It took all the rain on Christmas Day. They had an absolute dump, and just that comes through all the catchment into the lake, flying on an outgoing tide. And the difference on an outgoing tide, you couldn't see the bottom in 2 metres of water. An incoming tide, it was just all that flush of seawater coming back in again, and it was beautiful. And you really couldn't fish on an outgoing tide, which is my favourite for the whiting. So it was really off for about the first 5 days.
Well, that's the sort of catch-22 when we talk about this rain. Yes, we definitely need it, and I guess longer term it makes the fishing really good. But it's not just getting through that direct rainy period and away we go, because there is consequences to that rain, and there is things that, like I said, long term it's great, but in the short term, all your rivers run hard and they're generally pretty dirty.
We'll top up a lot of these catchments a little bit too, which, Dartmouth, Eildon, all those sorts of things, Epalock. So it's going to top that one right up, which is Toolondo is another one, a good one.
Yeah, we'll talk about Toolondo a little bit later on, because there has been some great rains, and although they were hoping for more, last Friday they were hoping for a downpour, Saturday, Sunday, nothing much happened, really until today, and yes, it's great, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. The other thing is whiting. Now, whiting don't actually feature in our catch of the week this week, but plenty of whiting around, good reports everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's, as funny as it sounds, it's probably why we don't have them in catch of the week, because most people are going out and targeting them are getting them. So they're either getting them quickly, moving on to other species and moving on to other things, or it's just, you go there and dong a bag of whiting and it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? It loses its appeal. We're well into the season now, and it has been a great season, and it's like the snapper thing. Everyone's over it by December, when generally it's just going, it's going right off then as well. So.
Yeah. Look, and we'll talk more about whiting. I know I said they're not in Catch of the Week, but don't forget you can keep up to date with our official Facebook page with Catch of the Week, hotspots, and much more. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. And to make it easier, just go to our website at talkingfishing.com.au and click on the links to Facebook or Twitter. Boys, time to check what's being caught by the people at home. Let's have a look at some of the catches of the week. And first up, Athan Iliopoulos, 6 kilo snapper out of Indented Head. A beautiful, some of those areas, and Trelly, this is over your side, Tackle Geelong side of the bay, I guess. So Indented Head right on the corner of there leading into Cryo Bay. There's some great areas out deep off there that, they're well known for whiting and calamari in shallow, but people forget, those sort of places, and St Leonard's as well, you get out a little bit deep and there's some cracker fish. Yeah,
well, that's right. I mean, we had Mick on last week and he talked about some of those areas and they seem to be turning up in those deeper channels and deeper spots at the moment. So, some nice fish turning up over
absolutely. Some nice gummies also coming from Western Port, the Western Entrance. Bob He with a nice 9.75 kilo. That's the perfect size, I reckon.
It is.
Isn't it? Have a look at that. I mean, that's a cracker of a gummy.
It looks great in a photo. It's a good size if you want to take one home for the table because you're getting plenty of flesh off it too. But I think from memory, Bobby was featured in Catch of the Week last week too, and he's just been getting amongst it. It's great to see. And Bob, thanks for sending in your photos too. And
appreciate it. And the other thing is, I think the last couple of weeks there has been a lot of whiting in the fishing reports.
Yep.
And maybe not so many gummies. I know before I went on holidays, I don't think we had one gummy in our, the big fishing report we put out each week. And now to see people getting back on the gummies, the full moon was last week too.
That's right.
So,
probably looking for that striped marlin you're talking about.
Well, they're probably looking for that striped marlin.
Exactly. They've had to settle for a gummy. It's looking best.
And remind me, please, let's go back onto marlin on the south coast because it's just absolutely massive. Number 3, Kyle Tapscott, a beautiful 72 centimetre flathead out of Cleland Bight, and that's a cracker of a fish as well.
A couple of weeks now we're seeing reports from this area.
Well, I would have said a couple of months, even through snapper season, we were seeing that bit of bycatch, some big flathead. That's a cracker, 72 centimetres.
Look at that.
Thank you very much, and take those fillets off in a bit of beer batter.
Exactly.
Bit of lemon. Yeah, no, absolutely. James McGrath's the next one, 4 kilo snapper out of St Leonard's. So again, Trelly over your side, St Leonard's, cracker spot, just get off to the deep water. And this time of year, I was talking to Michael Buxton, who's the chairman of Future Fish Foundation. He's down on the Mornington Peninsula at the moment, and he's been getting some cracker snapper. Just beyond some of those beautiful whiting spots out around Mud Island, just go a little bit further out into the deep drop-off, and there are some cracker snapper there.
Yeah, well, see, Southern Port Phillip didn't get the memo when we said that snapper season was done and dusted and it's all about whiting because, that's two great snapper from down the southern end of Port Phillip, which are featured so far. So, plenty of fish there.
Absolutely.
Plenty of fish.
We'll talk about this species a little bit more later on, but Andrew Andrews, a 50 kilo striped marlin out of Birmingham. Looks a little bit bigger than 50 kilo there. He did report to us it was 50 kilos.
Yeah.
I must say, when I was in Narooma, there was a marlin, at least one marlin caught every single day I was there that people could get out. And in the 14 days I was there was probably only 3 or 4 days that you couldn't get out. It was very settled weather. In fact, the swell was not enough to stir things up for the kingfish. But a marlin caught every day. I had a beautiful feed of marlin.
Normally I'd start of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And a ripper start. I know guys like Wayne from Shark Bin Fishing Charters, he's heading up there, and Simon Rinaldi, Red Hot, will probably go up there as well.
Yeah, so he'd be on his way too.
And, there's some cracker marlin. And last but not least, our good friend Paul Delisle with a nice yellow belly from just downstream, I think, from Yarrawonga. He's like the yellow belly specialist, isn't he, Paul Delisle?
He just quietly goes about it and sneaks inland a bit.
I think he got 40 or 50 over his holiday break. So
there you go. He's just getting it done.
It's a nice yellow belly too. Yeah, they're tricky those to catch. They're just so gentle on the end of the rod. Sometimes he's obviously got it down.
He said he had a bit of bycatch of trout cod and Murray cod. Good to see some yellow belly around, and he certainly is a bit of a specialist on that. So well done, Paul. And if you'd like to send in a pic of your catch of the week, this is what you have to do.
If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au.
And coming up on Talking Fishing Product of the Week, including some of the new fashion accessories worn around Shepparton. And we'll talk a little bit about Dunphy right after this.
talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And we're on product of the week. Ads. It's all about sun protection. What a great day to do it with 48 millimetres of rain. 48 millimetres of rain.
Just because we like to stay up to date here and talking fishing.
Let's do some sun protection. But there's also some other reasons why you would wear good gloves when you go out fishing. And people shouldn't be ashamed to wear gloves when out fishing. It might be a bit of a fashion thing, like we were joking around earlier on, but your hands, you need them for so many things in life. Protect them because fishing can be dangerous.
Yep.
And let's kick it off. What do you got first?
And these are all with, I guess they've all got a safety element in line as well. We'll open up with the sun gloves. These are very lightweight, breathable, but more importantly, they have a UPF rating, which are up to 50 plus now, so they're right up to date with all that sort of stuff. They are pure and simply designed to keep the sun off the back of your hands. These are full gloves, so they cover your palm as well, mainly for fish gripping and things like that when you get a fish in. But I must say...
So the other thing is they're fingerless, so you can still put bait on, tie knots, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. You're not having to take the gloves off every time you do something.
But if, touch wood, got good skin and that, but if and put sunblock on. But people that have got a few things wrong, on their hands, or they may already have a bit of
like a burnt hand like that.
Yeah,
I've got to wear them.
Yeah,
it's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so
they're just so good for your general fishing.
And it's something that you forget about. So I mean, generally speaking, for a one-off trip when you just spend a day on the bay or something like that, you're probably not going to worry about it. To be brutally honest, but when you go away and you're doing a big trip and you're on the water day after day, like you've just been to Narooma, we found up north in Weipa, these are a must. And I must say the back of my hands do get horribly burnt. Yeah. And it's the small things as well. A little press stud on the cuff there.
Clip them together.
Yeah, to keep the two together so you don't lose one, because I'd lose that straight away. Yep. Moving on, these are, I guess, a lightweight jigging glove.
Yeah.
This is probably where it gets into that territory where people think, oh, come on, turn it up now. But I'll tell you what, when you're dropping 300 and 400 gram jig...
Well, I'll show you. I mean, you can't see it on TV. I've got a saw right there from winding the reel on jigs.
Yeah, but...
And, probably put 1,000 turns on a reel in a day, or in a session on Kingfish at Montague Island.
That's right. I mean,
and it hurts.
Yeah, and
soft skin, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, just a little bit of soft skin. Too much time on the computer, I think.
Let's face it, Dave is pretty soft.
Yeah, well.
Like I said, try dropping a jig in 100 metres of water plus that weighs 400 grams and trying to crank it up. The handles on the reels are big these days, and they need to be so that you can get the power, generate the power through the handle to get the line back on the reel. It's going to wear away at some parts of your thumb, like what you see there. So these are great. These, I guess, have been developed.
Good thing about those, got a nice grip on the fore.
And that's another thing.
Too, so
once you start with an aggressive action in any form of fishing, you've got to hold on to the rod because you get a good fish on the other end, and I'm sure many a combo's been lost with a good fish and it ripping the combo straight out of your hands. So I guess the next one, we're moving straight on to the heavier version of the glove we just looked at. These can also double as, I guess, a light tracing glove.
Yeah. So perfect, and I wear those, except they're in a fingerless version as well. They do make a fingerless version for your Kingfish, your Portland Southern Bluefin tuna, so that 25, 30 kilo fish.
Exactly right.
Perfect, because they'll offer you protection. And I'll tell you a story after product of the week. I'll tell you a bit of a story of what happened to me. It was potentially dangerous for the Kingfish, and I didn't have my gloves on. And I'll tell you what, I wore them every single time after that.
And the fact of the matter is, fishing line is nasty. It's
and
thin.
braid nowadays.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Unforgiving.
Exactly right. So these are a great investment.
Yeah.
Moving on there again, these are for your, I guess, probably more designed at your game fishermen.
Yep.
These are hardcore tracing gloves.
So that one there.
They're fully reinforced across the palm so that you can wrap wire, you can wrap heavy leaders, 400 pound plus.
Yep.
Not necessarily. Look at that. That's how tough they are. Didn't feel a thing.
They're all broken now, but anyway. But seriously, in all seriousness, even if you're tracing with wire, if you've got a knife, a hook,
they are marketed that way too.
Yeah.
If you're using a knife, whether it is to
It's actually cut-proof.
Cut the line to release a fish. These gloves aren't designed to wrap a leader and hook a fish in. It's to hold a fish while you dehook it, get a photo with big marlin, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So they're at the
certainly stop any damage if you're hanging onto a bill of a marlin or something.
That's right. So they're in the upper echelon of protective gloves.
Yeah, yeah.
And
now gloves aren't cheap, but think about your hands. Probably the most used part of your body. So seriously, it's worth protecting.
What if on the first day of a big trip,
you
go to trace even a 60 centimetre king, which is just legal. They go hard, and it takes off as you go to pull, and you get a nice burn, a line burn around your hand.
Yeah.
You don't want to be fishing full days after that.
I always get it cut right there on the pinky.
You do. First day.
First day,
and
the braid. It's every day.
It's like a gimbal for braid.
Yeah.
And the line finds it back again.
I
found that cut again.
Now these aren't gloves.
No, these aren't gloves. And I bought one for the two of you to try on. Dave, that one's yours. And Trelly, I bought this one for you. We'll just wait for the picture to come off the screen there. But if you boys could just
the old head buffs.
These are a head buff. Again, it's all about being sun smart, and this is something that has taken off massively.
Yeah. Now that colour's from Shepparton. Trend in Shepparton.
We actually stole that from Trelly's shop.
Yeah,
it's good.
So you can wear it just as, and I did it in Narooma as well, just as a bit of a neck protection. Wear a cap, and so forth, just a bit of neck protection. But if you are getting a bit burnt, the wind particularly,
and this is probably wear
sunglasses on
and the wind.
Yeah.
Just remember to take it off when you go and get cash from the ATM, Trelly.
Yeah.
It's
that'll be a bit strange.
But there's so many applications for these. You can just wear them around your neck, like you said. You can pull them up over your head. You can almost wear it as a balaclava type arrangement.
Yeah.
Drop that in the esky.
Yeah.
Cold water. With a bit of ice.
And just pull it back on.
And it is magic.
I saw Trelly wearing one at a party once like that. He was with the esky, all right.
So now the other thing I think it's important to mention with these, a lot of people just associate these with taking them up north. Fact of the matter is, the sun down here where we live is just as harsh, if not worse, because we don't get the humidity. So these are something that should be on the boat all the time. You can feel when the sun and the glare is ridiculous once you get out on a Port Phillip Bay or Western Port, and you can feel it bouncing, reflecting off the water and getting into your face. I think these are a must. You should have at least one on every boat, I think.
And that's not the cheapest one on the market, but that is probably one of the better quality ones that I've seen.
Because they're light.
Very, very good.
They're light. You can breathe through the material.
Yeah, really good. And like you say, drop in the water, stick it on your head, lift the boat and get a bit of breeze going over you, and it's just fantastic.
Beautiful.
But we wear them up around just in the Goulburn, or you get over the fact you look like a bit of a drongo. Right? Put it on.
I think this year's probably been the big year for people getting over that fact, because we've sold a lot this summer. I mean, I come back from holidays today and yesterday, sorry, and the shelves were empty of buffs.
It's just not worth it these days. The sun's getting harsher and harsher.
Yeah.
You don't want to be dealing.
Not getting any younger.
Yeah, that's right. You already see what happened to the skin on his hands.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be dealing with sun cancers and bits and pieces in the future. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there you go. Bit of product of the week: gloves, buffs. Don't be afraid to wear them, because they are looking after your body. Now, I'm going to come back to that Kingfish story in a minute, but I just want to make mention John Dunphy, if anyone doesn't know him. John established Dunphy Sports / Fishing Imports, I think the company was named, back in 1981. He was very soon after got the rights to distribute Shimano in Australia and New Zealand, and what an incredible man John Dunphy was for the next 30 odd years. And Shimano Japan took 100% ownership of Dunphy Sports, I think about 3 or 4 years ago now. Yeah. But what John contributed to recreational fishing on behalf of anglers, on behalf of the industry, Trelly, he was highly regarded at AFTA.
Absolutely. I mean, you just think of Shimano. You just think of John Dunphy.
Yeah.
And he was always up for the fight. He's always in there for the battle for the recreational fishermen and that type of thing. So it's a big loss.
I know there's a very big service on in Sydney on Thursday, and expecting probably a couple of thousand people at that, and it will be a very big day and a very sad time for everyone in fishing, because
to the family.
You never ever heard a bad word about John Dunphy.
No,
like he was just an absolute leader in his field, and I mean you don't need to say anything about the brand either.
Look how huge the brand is in Australia. It'd be the biggest,
second to none. And we're talking about how many people. I was actually talking, because many of his family members still work for Shimano Fishing Australia, and I was talking to Mark Dunphy today, who was still pretty shaken from what's going on, and he said, we don't know how many people are coming up for the service. And I said, you can't underestimate how many, because it doesn't matter what company you are from, what retail group you are from, what wholesaler you are from. everyone had respect for John Dunphy.
Yeah.
And that's why I think 2 years ago, Trelly was introduced as a legend or into the Hall of Fame, AFTRS Hall of Fame. So
yeah, that's correct.
A massive loss for fishing. John Dunphy, condolences to the family. Guys, back onto a bit of a kingfish story. I was out at the island and we had a day there where the water was right. You know, we'd had a couple of bad days, a couple of small fish and that. We had 40 kingfish one day, 39 of them we threw back. They were all 60 to 62 centimetres and New South Wales legal size is 65 and it was a very frustrating day. But my mate Craig was on a fish, he had it at the boat. I've gone to trace it. Luckily I didn't do a couple of wraps around the hand and I'm just lifting it out of the water and I've just looked down and a seal took the fish right then and there and he actually ripped it off the hook. The stretch in that line over a split second saw the leader just shoot through my hand. And I had a mark, like almost a burn, but it went deep on my thumb, and a couple of marks across my forefinger and middle finger. And I've just gone, whoa, man, like it happened in a split second. Should have had gloves on. But the other thing is my mate Craig, he's doubled over. And I just, what happened? He goes, something hit me. You know, he didn't know what it was. And it was actually the sinker. So we were fishing with braid, but just the spring in the leader, that seal took so much tension in that split second that the sinker shot off. The leader shot through my hands. Lucky I didn't cop a hook. And Craig actually had a big welt on him. You know, like within seconds, like being shot. You know, and we were fishing in 50 metres, so you know we were sitting 10, 12 ounce, something like that. Yeah. Very lucky, you know. But you just go back to the gloves that we were just talking about earlier on, and you can't ever have enough protection when you do that game fishing. You shouldn't be embarrassed. And sometimes, like I looked around all the boats, no one was wearing gloves, but I wore them, you know, from that day onwards.
Things happen quickly. Something as simple as that. You're tracing a fish, which was under control at the time, and a seal comes from nowhere and has a crack, which happens even down here. You just, unfortunate things happen. That's why.
Like you say, braid. We had one of our guys at work who was actually taking line off a reel to put the reel on it. And he's got the braid, he's got a little machine that's going zzz, and all right. And what he done is he picked up the braid, and as he went to pick up the braid to put it in the bin, he went past the fan, and it went, and all his fingers were like,
oh no!
Well, lucky the fan like stopped, you know, it stalled the fan while the other boy got to his toe and turned it off. But you just got to be careful with it.
I hear you've got a few fans in your shop too. So.
We've got a few fans.
But it's going back to the gloves. You know, it's a must thing, and don't be afraid to wear them.
No.
Cannot underestimate that. So, boys, we'll talk about whiting shortly because there's some great catches both in Western Port and Port Phillip. I'm hearing some unbelievable reports from down on the Mornington Peninsula about whiting, and you know, some people use different baits this time of year, different techniques, different places. I've heard some really good stories. I'm going to talk about toadfish as well, but up next is Fisheries news, including some info on proposed changes to boat restrictions at Blue Rock Lake right after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And now it's time for the news, the Fisheries news. Sounds a bit fishy to me.
And a bit of fisheries news this week. First up, the Senator, the Honourable Richard Colbeck, who's the Parliamentary Secretary for Minister for Fisheries and Agriculture, just shows the admiration. He put out a media release today, John Dunphy to be remembered as a fishing industry champion, and I won't keep repeating that, but just shows the admiration for John Dunphy for a federal minister to actually come out and put out a media release about it. It's a pretty big thing. Toolondo, I mentioned earlier on, 48 millimetres of rain today, and I know Trevor Holmes from Victorian Inland Fishing Charters was actually sitting in a puddle
fishing in a puddle
in his shorts and just absolutely loving it. And you know, there was a bit of rejoice around the place at Horsham this week, but you know, there was a bit of a promise to look after Toolondo as a rec fishing venue, and I think there's a little bit of news coming. I won't say too much, but may I just suggest listen to 3RW Fishing on Friday night at 7 o'clock because there is some good news coming up. A couple of other big media releases this week. Media release from Fisheries Victoria expanded Australian bass stockings for Gippsland, and they've pretty much put up 120,000 Australian bass fingerlings have been stocked this season, which is an increase of 41,000 on last year. Now, from memory, the bass are actually produced in a fish farm in Narooma.
There you go.
Yeah, so there you go. It's excellent news. If you have a look at that, Blue Rock Lake was the number one with 25,000 bass. Lake Glenmaggie, 10,000. Narracan Lake, 10,000. So all down that East Gippsland area. Mitchell River, 10,000. Tambo River, 10,000. Nicholson River, 10,000. McAllister River, 9,000. And it goes on down to little places like Guthridge Lake, 1,000. Freestone Creek, 1,000, and so forth. So that's great. That's great news. And for bass fishing, some of those lakes that I just mentioned there have been stocked with bass for many, many years.
That's right.
And there's some cracker fish around.
Well, Blue Rock, which we'll talk about shortly, they had a great bite period of bass, like catchable size. They've been stocking it for quite some time. They've finally got to a size now where they're starting to be great fun. And there was a big surface bite going on. I think it was maybe just as we got into spring last year.
Yep.
And it was awesome. All the guys taking their kayaks down there. They were talking about running competitions there.
Yeah.
It just opens up everything. So it's great to see they've pumped another couple of thousand fish in there too.
Oh,
everything.
Everything. Get this for a statistic. Since 2002, Fisheries Victoria has stocked more than 570,000 Australian bass fingerlings into Gippsland lakes and rivers. If you want to check out some more, dpi.vic.gov.au/bass stocking. That's pretty incredible figures. Now, related to that Blue Rock Lake, it was a promise from Daniel Andrews in his fishing policy to remove the horsepower restriction from Blue Rock and replace it with a speed limit.
Yep.
I think they were the words, and I'll stand corrected if it's wrong, but he said those words on 3AW when we had him on the show, Adam, and he certainly put it in his policy in writing. And what's happened in the meantime? Look, this is the frustration. This is why us as anglers pushed for something to happen in Blue Rock, was that it's been a ridiculous horsepower limit for God knows how long, and it just need to change. Boats these days, there's a lot of big bass boats that have 100 plus horsepower on the back, but they might use that for 10 seconds to get out the middle and then flick over to the electric motor on the front.
That's right.
So that horsepower restriction was not keeping with the times of boats, correct? And electric's the way to go, and hence, you put a speed limit on, you're not going to have blokes racing up and down with 150 horsepower on the back of their boat and all that. I reckon for a year I've been monitoring Southern Rural Water, I think it is. I've probably got the name somewhere in front of me here. They've been proposing some changes. It's been a long time coming, and I've got to admit, I rang them today and said, hey, what's the go? I've read your proposal, and you guys must have talked about it while I was away last week.
Yeah, we've actually got a question sent to us through Facebook asking us about this. So I think we've got a slide to come up on the screen now, which is their proposal. So current restrictions for speed is 5 knots. They're proposing no limit. The no-go zones stay the same. The maximum output is 10 horsepower, and they're proposing 30 horsepower. The maximum boat length at the moment is 4.3 metres, and they're proposing no limit, which is good. And water skiing and personal watercraft, there's nothing mentioned now, but they're going to prohibit it. So what they're doing is saying no speed limit, go as fast as you can, but only a 30 horsepower. And what I don't get, right, and I'm going to be a little bit critical, I'm sorry. I don't think this water board, Southern Rural Water, has a lot of experience when it comes to angling, and you can and look, you can argue that that's not their core business. They're there for water for a township or whatever. But what was it, since 2002, fisheries have been putting bass into Blue Rock. Surely fishing's got to count for something when you've had that sort of investment into that lake. They said in their opening remarks on this proposal that they got relevant stakeholders together and come up with these proposals. Now, I'd love to know who represented the fishermen on this.
I made the phone call today, and they only had the people that were related to water, so they didn't have anyone from fishing or fisheries related in the room. It shows,
and I mean no disrespect.
It's not disrespectful,
but,
but they've got it wrong. Yeah. And now we've got to go down. Look, I spoke to them. I was polite, but it probably needs a little bit of political intervention now, because I actually said to the guy, I said, "Do you realise that Daniel Andrews promised to remove the horsepower and introduce a speed limit?" And he said, "Well, I kind of heard that." I don't want to knock the person in, but this is serious stuff. This is a great fishery. This could attract massive amounts of tourism to an area that probably needs it in Maui. And I just think they've got those proposals wrong. It needs to be fixed. It's a simple fix. Get on with it. They have bass competitions there once a year now.
Exactly.
Oh, no, they have the big bass boats, and they actually put a permit in place to operate for a day. They must know, even if they'd spoken to the tournament organisers or some of the guys that fish in that tournament, they must know that they have big motors with electric motors.
That's right.
They're barely on them. They're barely on the big motors.
I think what they've done is moved from the 60s to the 70s. Haven't quite caught up to 2015,
small steps,
but anyway.
Small steps.
Kramer's mailbag up next, and plenty more on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, talking fishing. Nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
That was a nice salmon I pulled out of that mailbox that day too.
Great
and
salmon.
just
Smelled a bit fishy. I can still smell it, actually.
Talking about salmon, plenty of salmon in the bay at the moment.
Oh, mate,
a massive
heaps.
amount from Altona, Black Rock, Carrum, Mount Martha,
The
right through the
peninsula's
peninsula.
been huge,
Yeah,
and
some massive
very
amounts,
close
so-
to the shore too. I reckon you could almost
Yeah,
get them with a slug
and
house.
big. Yeah, so anyway, talking to salmon. Kramer's mailbag. There's a couple here. Last week, David Kramer spot. I don't know who's this from. I don't know who it's from. Lindsay Jaggung from Somerville. Last week, David Kramer spoke of the hope of getting regulations changed at Blue Rock Dam for boating. Now, I wasn't here last week, so maybe... did you have my mask on last week? Anyway, in last Wednesday's
Adam's
Herald
bag.
Sun... Yeah, what?
That was in Adam's bag last week.
Adam's bag.
Yeah.
In last Wednesday's Herald Sun, public notices there were details of proposed changes and requesting public comment re these changes. I have submitted my comment. The only thing I commented on was lack of maximum speed limit, which may encourage hooning, etc. So, and we totally agree, Lindsay.
Definitely.
So, thanks for writing in about that, because I actually wouldn't have known that those proposals were out. They are very hard to find on Southern Rural Waters website.
Yep.
So you got, like, seriously, I don't know, unless that bloke was reading the Herald Sun and writing to us at Talking Fishing, we'd have no idea.
What's
that
the
there's actually some
proposal? 30 horse and no speed limit.
30 horse and no
I
speed
think
limit.
they get pretty quick in the 30 horse.
Yeah, I know.
Tell you what.
And the poor bloke who's got the 115 on the back and a nice electric motor that's even more environmentally friendly for the water that people are going to drink.
Get off.
He gets arrested and put in handcuffs.
It's the only time your little pump's going to go quicker than a bass boat.
Another one. This is from Lindsay as well. He's written to us twice. Sorry, look, I'm going to read Lindsay's as well. I didn't realise that. I didn't read these too well before. Got him straight off the hot press.
Give him a week off, Trelly. Look at him,
yeah.
rattled.
Dear sirs, I have been fishing. It must have been talking to you two last week. Sirs? I never get called sir. I've been called a lot of things lately, I can tell you.
Called you a few last week.
I've been fishing at Blue Rock since about 1985 and have had problems due to the restrictions. My son and I have a 3.5 metre tinny and originally had a 9.5 Evinrude Sports, about a 1970 vintage, and this fitted requirements, but this motor eventually died. This might be a while, so I think we've got about another 20 minutes to go on the show. We replaced this with a 15 horsepower Johnson to fish Purrumbete and other Western Districts lakes, but unsuitable for Blue Rock. And I feel the proposals you have listed are fine, but I feel that a speed limit should be imposed, probably about 10 knots, so that not to cause bow waves and wash as caused at Glen Maggie. And I guess one of the beauties of this place, so if you go to Eildon, and we're going to finish mailbag in a second, but if you go to Eildon, water skis everywhere, go to Glen Maggie, water skis everywhere, it would be nice to have a nice lake that you can fish that's got plenty of trout as well.
That's right.
But plenty of bass. And without those wakes, if they put a speed limit on, you won't have people going from one end of the lake quickly at 100 miles an hour.
Makes
Just
sense.
keep it a nice,
William Hovell's
nice
like that.
place to fish. If you'd like to write to me or these blokes, this is what you do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
And can I just remind everyone, you can keep up to date with our official Facebook page with Catch of the Week hotspots and much more. Don't forget to like us. And to make it easier, just go to our website at talkingfishing.com.au and click on the links to Facebook or Twitter. And I must say that I have someone in my ear talking to me right now saying, Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter, boys. I've got a little bit of a script. From next week, you'll be able to you'll be able to talk fishing with us live as we switch to our new Twitter feed, boys. Join the conversation at Talkfish Live and follow us on Twitter for all the news and highlights of each week's show. So I think the people that sit in the other room are going to be able to somehow make the tweets. This technology is testing. They're going to be able to put the Twitter feed on the TV for you people at home, and you'll be able to write to us, and we'll be able to answer your questions via Twitter when we'll tweet back.
Hey, we won't be the only tweets on TV.
Sounds like budgie feed.
I reckon you've actually been practicing tweeting, haven't you, Trelly?
Well, yes, I have.
We won't be the only tweets on TV.
Anyway, just do it. Just go on our website, talkingfishing.com.au. The links are there. Facebook, Twitter. Get onto Twitter. Whatever you've got to do about Twitter, we've got to tweet next week. We're going to talk to you on Twitter. Trelly, let's head up to Shepparton. How's things been up there for the holiday period? Cod, yellow belly, how's the river flowing, all that sort of stuff? How's it been?
Really good, actually. I get to see the Goulburn as I come down and go back when I'm in my travels, but the water's been clear. It's been at a constant level, which has been really, really good. And the fishing's been fantastic. It's we've got lots and lots of good yellow belly, good cod, lures, bait, all that type of thing. The only thing is with this rain is getting up and down the banks. Now, picture an octopus tap dancing. All right, that's about how you're going to get up and down a wet bank in the Goulburn River.
We saw Trelly do something like that at one of the trade shows.
I think we did, tap dancing.
So therefore,
he's been taking pole dancing lessons. Is that correct, Trelly?
It is correct, actually.
Anyway, back to the octopus that was tap dancing.
Well, the Goulburn River is very steep banks, so you try and get up on these wet banks after this sort of river. So that'll encourage people to probably go to the Murray River where you've got, a step into the water. You don't have to go up on these steep banks, or fish the lakes or Ranga Basin, Nellacooty, Eildon. But getting up and down steep banks on a wet day is not good fun.
Did I hear a few 1 metre cod caught along the Murray or Lake Eildon or something like that too? It might have been the Murray, one of the creeks feeding in there.
There's been
up near
we talked about on Trout on Friday night with Steve Trembath, didn't we?
It's pretty common now. Like Mildura up that way, there's a lot of 1 metre fish. There's a couple of guys up there, as you know, Rod McKenzie and those blokes. They've caught over 100 cod in a 4-month period. Over a metre long, catch and release. So even some of the little creeks that you go to around Shep, like the Broken, that hold metre fish. It's just amazing. It just really is amazing.
What about the trout scene, Trelly? Have you heard much on the trout scene at all?
Not a lot this time of year. They tend to get down because they're pretty warm, and no one sort of if you're going to fish a lure down deep, you're going to fish a big lure for cod. This time of year, but winter times go.
Places like Toolondo, you'd have to say that with the bit of rain that we've had now, and I know a lot of it will soak into the ground, but Trevor's saying, well, it's 48 mils, so that adds directly to the water level plus the runoff, and you would have to say that let that settle. You'd have to say in a week or two's time, Toolondo will be fishing pretty sensational. You just got a feeling that's going to spark a few things.
Interesting to see what happens.
Definitely.
I reckon if you want a trout fix and you're all salted out at the moment, whiting, snapper, gummies, whatever. If you just want a bit of a trout fix, get to Toolondo. And what's it, 4 hours, maybe 4.5 from Melbourne. A magnificent place. Stay in Horsham or book a shack at the Toolondo caravan park or whatever. But I just think in 2 weeks' time, Toolondo will be on fire, and who knows for how long, because we might get a stretch of 40-degree days that put the fish down a little bit again. But I just think, if we can couple it with a couple of maybe cooler days in the low 20s, and that fresh water, bit of food running in, the fish will be thriving.
We're looking at mid-20s over next week, aren't we? Weather-wise, so it's good for that. That'll
be pretty good. I want to quickly talk about whiting. We might have to start and start after the next break. But whiting, I'm hearing Mornington Peninsula, some very good fish coming from down there, and some good size as well, mate. Have you heard much?
Yeah, we've had quite a few reports start filtering through, and we hear a lot of land-based reports because obviously the peninsula's full of the caravan parks, are full with all the tourists and things like that. You get a lot of great land-based reports this time of year, and I must admit the average size has been up. Now it's not like going down and you throw your baits in, like say you're sitting on the middle spit and you get your 20 whiting and away you go.
Yeah.
If you get 6 or 7, I reckon you can say you've had a pretty good day.
Yeah.
But the average size has been good.
Yeah.
Land-based especially is generally associated with a lot of undersized fish.
Yeah.
But it's great news because everyone can get amongst it. you know, you can get onto the Portsea Pier and catch whiting off there at the moment. So it's been great. It has been great.
We're going to run out of time to talk about fishing, sorry boys, but coming up on Talking Fishing, this week's hotspots and what's coming up on C31 Fishing right after this.
Talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Hello, Richie Minnow here. It's now time for this week's Fishing Hotspots on Talking Fishing. Marvellous.
Boys, the fan mail that Richie Minnow got after we had him on the show just before Christmas was incredible, wasn't it? But hotspots.
Don't worry about Richie.
Hotspots, right. Number one, we were just talking about King George whiting. I know we've run out of time, but the show needs an hour and a half, doesn't it? Like
Pretty much.
It's this time of year. Rye, pick the weed beds, 3 to 5 metres of water. There is some sensational whiting along the Mornington Peninsula right now.
Yep, and then throw a squidgy out the other side and catch a bag of calamari while you're getting them.
Yeah, even my mate Lou down at Blairgowrie, they must be thick. He's getting them. He's getting them. He's saying the black squid jigs are working. They're banging them. That's his words. The black ones are banging them. And my old mate Lou down there, in fact, he took his mate Lindsay out the other day. Yeah. Lindsay said he had a nibble. I don't know.
Not Lindsay.
Not that Lindsay. No, other Lindsay. Lindsay knows who I'm talking about. But Lou, Lindsay, they're banging them on the black ones. So Rye is the place to go. Second hotspot, Mount Martha. A bit like those areas over your side, we'll talk about that in a minute, but Mount Martha producing some very, very good snapper at the moment in the 2 to 4 kilo range. Pilchards for bait, early morning, change of tide if you can get it.
Deep water. It's been that consistent for the snapper at this stage. The local charter boats are all heading that way. They're launching out of Carrum and going across to Mount Martha.
You know, we're not quite at our peak of water temperature. Like the peak of the water temperature is probably in about a month's time. So those snapper are finding the deeper water, trying to get down to cooler water because it's water temperature 21, it'll get to 22, perhaps 23 in the bay over the next month. So they try and find that deeper water. Mount Martha just an absolute
There's also
great
been a few kingies floating around too. I just thought I'd throw that one in there. It's not just snapper. The salmon are thick and the kings are around too. So just keep an eye on
I know this time of year people do not give us photos of kingfish because they want to keep it a secret.
And fair enough.
It's only a matter of time before the people are out there, they're catching them and we're into it. So third hotspot, Indented Head. We had it in Catch of the Week earlier on. So look, not only is it a great spot for calamari and some whiting, but out deep like we saw earlier on, some beautiful snapper out there too, up to 6 kilos. So
yeah, that's right. We can get a mixed bag of those 3 species. I think it's a pretty special place.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't just go out and get your 3 snapper over 40 centimetres or whatever. You know, on your way and stop, go get some whiting, get some calamari because
it's such a diverse little area that one
is. It is.
And it doesn't really get the recognition down where we are anyway, Dave. We don't hear too much about it, but that's a cracker of a spot. And there's not too many places where you can do that.
And there's still a lot of people camping. We shouldn't forget. I mean, you know, a lot of people only have that couple of weeks, and a lot of people back to work this week. But still a lot of people along that peninsula there, Port Arlington, Indented Head, St Leonard, staying all the caravan parks and the accommodation. And that. So some great spots along there. Over into Western Port, the Quail Bank. I'm just hearing some good stories about some beautiful whiting. In fact, they must be thick if Drummo
got one.
If Drummo from Cranbourne can get, I think they got 80 on a charter, him and his mates. If they can get that many whiting,
he had to put down his can to want into whiting.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't happy about it.
And that was at 7:10 in the morning.
But he got it
done. But Quail Bank is sensational. The other one in Western Port, boys, Tankerton. Producing some very good and big whiting. I know Don Newman from Western Port Angling Club celebrated his 92nd birthday during the week and went out and had some a great fish on Tankerton with some very big King George whiting.
And again, another spot where it's just a squidgy over the side. Well, Tankerton's one of those spots where you get the calamari sit under the boat. You want a whiting in and they shoot out trying to grab your whiting and just straight over the side.
Like squid jigs again?
Who knows?
Absolutely.
They said they wouldn't work.
I think the white work in
Western Port.
Like we keep saying, the Japanese developed all the colours over the last 30 years. Black and white work just fine. No, it's all good. And last but not least, boys, number 6, Toolondo Reservoir.
Oh yeah,
don't worry about that.
Sprinkling of water. Here we go.
Don't head down there quite yet. It's not quite ready, but I reckon in another week's time.
Another week, you reckon?
Another week, or maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, and that place will be on fire. If you were booking a fishing trip, if you were going to say, I'm going to go away and do something special, I'm going to catch a couple of trophy fish, pick a brown trout from Toolondo.
What are you doing in 2 weeks?
fishing.
And I reckon 2 weekends' time is the time. Australia Day weekend. If you want to go somewhere different, go and book yourself a nice motel in Horsham, base yourself there, head off to Toolondo in the morning, fish it all day. It will be in pristine condition, I'm telling you, on Australia Day. Get there for a trophy trout.
Booked out.
Yeah, don't bother.
Hey,
Make it the day before.
And so it should be, because you go back to that show we did here where we had Jeff Stock on the couch,
Yep.
and he virtually said if this was a lake that was in New Zealand or Tasmania, there would be international TV commercials for tourism on it.
And they'd be paying people would be paying thousands of dollars.
We just done one.
Yeah. So, we've got a state asset, and I really think the politicians, the mayor of Horsham, they really need to understand that they've got this great asset on their doorstep. Trophy trout, they grow at a rate of knots unlike anywhere in the world, and I think this little bit of water, this rain, will just make Toolondo a very special place.
You want to go down there fishing.
We might not be here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Sit there by yourself.
No, exactly right, yeah. Boys, just quickly, we're going to talk about what's coming up on C31 very, very shortly, but Western Port whiting, still very, very good.
Yep, still very good.
The whiting challenge, I'm not sure whether we get the slide to go up, whether the boys are ready in the back room, but the Western Port whiting challenge is on in a few weeks' time, and it is a sensational fishing comp. Western Port Angling Club put the competition on. I think their website, there it is up on the screen, the Western Port Whiting Challenge, Saturday 28th of Feb and Sunday the 1st of March. Entries online, and I think all good tackle shops. Heaps of prizes. Rex Hunt's going to present the prizes from 4 p.m. on the Sunday. A great club competition. And Western Port, I was talking to Sean Ferdier during the week, and he only uses mussels this time of year. He shucks them. He hasn't prepared well on that. He uses a certain type of hook. He's just got his whiting fishing. Those, you call it the 1%ers.
The small things.
Just the small things that he does right.
Yeah.
And he catches a truckload of whiting this time of year for his clients on Think Big, So it is about preparation is probably the good word for it.
And especially with whiting, because there are species that can potentially go hard for 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so you've got to be on the ball.
So you want to be making sure you're hooking majority of those fish. They are a fish that they can spook if you drop one midway or you drop one close to the top. Back down to the spool, things go a little bit quiet.
And that separates the serious fisherman, doesn't it?
It does.
The other thing I got plagued by while I was in Narooma was toadfish. Where we fish in a little channel, we can see the whiting. They're only sand whiting. I love fishing for them. Just with bass yabbies, they love them. And you can see them 3 metres from the boat in a metre of water. We're sitting on the edge of a channel and right on the bank. Very easy to anchor up there. And you'd put a bass yabby right in the trail, the flow of the current for a whiting. You'd see the whiting move over a little bit. Bang! All these toadies would come on and eat it. And someone said to me, "You've got to get to a certain depth to get away from the toadies." And I think it's around 8 metres. That if you can find whiting in that deeper water, you won't get plagued by some of those rubbish fish. They just don't go into a certain depth.
You could see them.
I could see them. It was so frustrating.
Wonder what they thought of Dave when they saw Dave.
Oh, well.
Who is bloke? He keeps casting.
Those toadies are looking up saying, Kramer, look at you. But anyway, boys, coming up on Channel 31, there is a new show from the producers of Destination Blue. It's called Liquid Vision. It comes another underwater fishing and seafood cooking show based in Victoria. Liquid Vision's presenters are Shane Harrison and Danny Henricks, who are heavily involved and experienced in underwater fishing with a combined extensive knowledge of the Victorian coast. And I'll just reach over and get my bit of paper and a camera. Sorry about that. But coming up on C31 Fishing tonight at 9:30, straight after us, Catch and Cook. Good on you, Ron. 10 o'clock, Savage Seas Adventures. Wednesday, 6:30 in the morning, that's tomorrow morning, Liquid Vision, the brand new show that I just mentioned. Thursday, 6:30 in the morning, Australian Fishing Network, 10 p.m. Liquid Vision. Friday, Catch and Cook, 7 a.m. Liquid Vision in the morning. So Liquid Vision on 3 days in a row. How good? 4 days in a row. Saturday night it's on at Liquid Vision at 7 o'clock at night as well. So, and of course you've got that big extravaganza on Saturday morning, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30 and 12, and then Saturday night 6:30, 7 and 7:30 p.m. Plenty of fishing on Channel 31, boys. Don't forget you can keep up to date with all our Facebook stuff and Catch the Week hotspots. It's all up there from tomorrow. Don't forget to like us, and just to make it easy, get up on talkingfishing.com.au and click on the links to Facebook or Twitter. That's it for Talking Fishing. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, all the info from tonight's show will be on our Facebook page tomorrow. Next week, Adam will be a dad for the second time, and our best wishes go to both Danny and Adam Ring for the safe arrival of their new baby tomorrow. Until next Tuesday, stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing. Talking fishing.